Ruby Dee was the first actress to take Hansberry's work, actualize it, and make it live. So we're going to begin. I will begin with some introductory comments about Ms. Dee and her legacy, and then if you should have programs, if you haven't already, you should have a program. We're going to see select film clips of Ruby Dee's movie work. Thank you. Please, shh. Yes, we want to just have one mic, please. And then after that will be, if the artistic director of Bushfire Theater is here, Al Simpkins. Is Al Simpkins here? Not yet. If he's not here on the program, we're going to move on to our next performer, Lois Moses, and then a powerful performance specifically dedicated to the legacy of Ruby Dee, produced by Bruce Robinson and FreshVisions Youth Theater, will follow Lois Moses' performance. But first, some important, powerful statements about the legacy of Ms. Dee. She was born in Cleveland, Ohio on October 27, 1922. She passed this year on June 11, 2014. This whole event is intended to raise awareness about not only Ruby Dee, but the activist legacy of Paul Robeson. Philadelphia native Tony Cade Bombara said that the goal of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. Ms. Dee's work proves that in this time in 2014, the year of Ms. Dee's passing, and the day after Barack Obama has taken steps to restore and to try to improve relations with Cuba, that revolution is in fact irresistible. Ms. Dee's work speaks to the personal and the political. It speaks to the reformer, and it speaks to the revolutionary. She spoke out against the way the nation treated individuals for their political beliefs. She and her husband, Ozzie Davis, supported Paul Robeson when his passport and Paul Robeson's wife's passport, Islanda Good Robeson, was seized by the U.S. State Department for his refusal to perform before segregated audiences and for saying in 1949 that it is unthinkable that American Negroes would go to war on behalf of those in the U.S. who oppressed us for generations against a country, the Soviet Union he was talking about, which in one generation has raised its people to the full dignity of humankind. This kind of anti-war support is still relevant today as our first black president authorizes deployment of NATO forces to support a neo-Nazi alignment in the Ukraine, while public schools in Philadelphia are closing and are forced to close while our prison population is increasing. For Ms. Ruby Dee, her life and her legacy supports this anti-colonial legacy. Supporting Paul Robeson for her was an obligation. It was the step leading to the necessary revolution against Jim Crow that needs to happen and the revolution against the school-to-prison pipeline. Ms. Dee made a critical decision in her life that she discusses in her book with Ozzie and Ruby. And she said that despite all the threats that mainstream America was warning and giving via FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover's persecution of communists or those even sympathetic to communists, she made a decision still in March of 1953 to speak at Carnegie Hall in support of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, who would become martyrs of communism, murdered for allegedly selling secrets to the Soviet Union. At this speech, Ruby Dee said, "We must speak out despite the McCarthys, the McCarrans, the Jenners, and all the other bullies now in the saddle who ride roughshod over what is left of the American heritage." Ms. Dee was able to understand and practice what Dr. King said, that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. She identified the implication that one couple being persecuted for their political beliefs had on the rest of the society. She identified the implication that the U.S. government and mainstream industry persecution had on the rest of American society. She understood it. She sympathized with how stores refused to play Paul Robeson's music because of his political beliefs, but she still, with her husband, stood by him. Although U.S. record companies refused to play Paul Robeson's music, she still worked to support him. And before you leave, I want to put up some posters that Ms. Frances Alston generously gave me to borrow about Paul Robeson in the back, because as you leave and learn about Ruby Dee, you should also learn about the activist legacy. This whole event is meant to support the Paul Robeson House. So in your $25 that you paid went toward the docent program, to train people on how to teach people who are getting tours of the Paul Robeson house about Paul Robeson. And her legacy, Ruby Dee's legacy, was about supporting fellow artists who were persecuted by their beliefs. I wanted to show a clip from her interview with the American Archive of Television, but as you see, we're not going to show those clips also for the sake of time, but I did want to take a look at her film work. I have 3 powerful clips, 3-minute clips of Ruby Dee's film work from seminal films she had been in. Her artistic work shatters the stereotypes that Hollywood thrives on, like Paul Robeson did. Her reformist work helped produce the highest-rated television miniseries in January of 1977 with the series Roots. Ms. Dee was instrumental in making the Roots television miniseries based on Alex Haley's book a reality. She wrote, "I'd been enormously pleased to read that Alex Haley and David Wolper give me credit in print and on platform for being godmother of sorts to the Roots phenomenon of television." Ms. Ruby Dee supported reformist causes for Black liberation. And you'll see that in Muta's film, which I had the chance to see 2 months ago, where she advocated causes for the NAACP, reformist groups, but also Ms. Dee supported revolutionary causes, not just reformist groups like the NAACP, but revolutionary causes for Black liberation. She supported the Cuban Revolution. She makes some very unique arguments in the interview, 3-hour interview she does in the American Archive of Television with Harold Dow, that we need Cuba, she said, on the other end of us. She makes, her basic quote I'm remembering roughly is that we need Cuba. She said, God never made one of anything. He never made, Ms. Dee said, one potato, one carrot, one snowflake. Every snowflake is different. And she made that argument to draw an analogy between potatoes, snowflakes, to political systems. And her opposition to the way that the US kind of operates to make sure that its capitalist democracy is everywhere in the world. That's not something she supported. She believed that we need the communist system to work in harmony without interference from the United States, capitalist democracy. Her support for the Panther 21 reminds us today why we need to question the FBI under Obama administration placing Cuban resident and Black Panther Party member Assata Shakur on the terrorist list for a charge of murder. Her lawyer has argued, like Mumia Abu-Jamal's lawyer, who Ruby Dee supported, and who, like Sister Sonia Sanchez here, supports. Ruby Dee was in the film Long Distance Revolutionary and read from Mumia's own words. Not only did she support reformist cause, revolutionary cause, I'm concluding here, her work was also supportive of the Black family and argued the strong point for me that liberation for Black people will not be possible without a strong family unit, be that a typical nuclear family that we see or the more different types of models of families that we see with the 2 lesbian mother family or the 2 gay dad family. She supported gays and lesbians and their rights for equality in the society. She also supported, yeah, you'll see these clips. So I'm going to be quiet now because below I was going to describe the clips, but y'all can see them yourselves. These are 3 powerful clips of Ms. Dee's work. The first, you'll see what they are.
Say goodbye to these old, tired walls.
I hate him. I hate his ignorance and his meanness.
That your father, don't be too hard on him. I know it's a colored man in these parts. They all broke down from years of sharecropping. Johnny Taylor, kiss on you. What is wrong with you? Ain't nothing wrong with me, Nanny.
Thank you, Ms. Dee, for your work. Your work taught us how to, the morality, that standard of morality that the older generation had as a way of protection. And then in the previous clip, she did not tolerate the back talk about his father, even though she understood why the son would say that about his father. Before that, the father told him, you can't go to school anymore, you have to sharecrop. And he's like, I hate my father, and then she slapped him. She always played these roles where the family is the structure and the center. Even though you might not disagree, you still respect your elder. And as I look at Professor Sanchez, I remember what she shared about her father and the disagreements that he had with your brother, you know, and you. But I'm just honored very much to have shared that piece with you. At this time in the program, we are going to hear from Al Simpkins. Is Al Simpkins here? Okay, Al Simpkins of Bushfire Theater. I talked to him this morning. Sorry he's not here now. And now, if Al Simpkins is not here, next in the program we'll hear from Lois Moses performing a piece called Will They Clone Little Black Girls?
Thank you. I'm just going to take a minute of your time, but I think for me what's important is growing up wanting to be an actress, that I'm going to put it on the table. Diane Sands, Diane Carroll, Cecily Tyson, some of the things that they taught me was that you cannot sacrifice not only your dignity, but also your legacy or the understanding of who you are to take roles in an industry that won't tell the truth about who you are. So, and it cost her, and you know, and I honor the legacy, and I mean, I actually got out of business for that reason, because one thing I realized, I was never going to do anything that my grandmother wouldn't be proud of. And so this poem is really in honor of all of those sisters who were the freedom fighters and sort of who led the way, gave me an image of what was possible, not only for myself, but also what was required of me and what was expected of me. And as I look in, really, this is the woman standing in front of me who inspired that piece, because the first time I realized that not only was I a poet, but I had a voice was when I went to see Sonia Sanchez at 12 years old. And her book had come out, Blues for Blue Black Magical Women. And then she sat on the floor so we could have a Black Studies department. So these are the sisters that, for me, have made my life impossible, but also led me to at least have a dignified life in the sense that I am standing for the legacy of my people and hopefully speaking for them. So without further ado, this piece is called Will They Clone Little Black Girls? Because in essence, I don't think we'll be the prototype, but it's okay because when we do it right, we clone ourselves intergenerationally. Will they clone little black girls who won't die but fight? Will they clone little black girls who supplement stamina for endless struggles to write? Will they clone little black girls like Asada, Sonia, Tubman, Ruby, knowing what they know? Will they clone little black girls like Nikki, Zora, Mommy, Grandma, who orchestrate transmutation as they go under cloaks of duplicity and breach a staggering, rhetorical, I know? Will they clone little black girls like Billy, Betty, Ida, Winnie, if it means ceasing myopic views of sturdy women, microscopic holograms, chided with allegories, binding ties and truth, mistruths to tortured souls? Will they clone little black girls with naps, dreads, locks, lost eyes, and fantasies? Far too black, regrettably female, defeminized, fatal. Will they clone little black girls to be reminded of savagery, brutality, rape, and bartering amongst nasty founders and forefathers? Will they clone little black girls like Sojourner, Fannie Lou, Frances Ellen, Maxine, Angela, who braved notwithstanding ghettos, guns, gloom, doom, distracted and detracted mothers mothering, who stayed unequivocally and persevered, erasing all doubt of concession, digression, misconception, and their wonder? Will they clone little black girls like Nzinga, Hatshepsut, or Set, Hathor, who share blood and legacy of queens' nuptials, knowing that they know from where they came, denomination, replication, rebirth, and regeneration? Will they clone little black girls like Ruby Dee? knowing that she knew that they knew that she knew who she'd be. Trampling on words, revealing our divinity. Will they clone little black girls with the integrity of legacy? Little black girls like me that won't die but fight. Little black girls like you that won't die but fight. Little black girls like us that won't die because we gonna fight. Will they clone little black girls? I know that's right.
Thank you, Lois, for that piece for They Clone Little Black Girls. This time, we're going to have a dramatic presentation by Bruce Robinson, founder of FreshVisions Youth Theater. The name of this piece is called Ruby Dee, a lady and a legend. This features actresses Indiya N and Kira. Did I pronounce her name? No, her name is pronounced Kira. And Kira Brown-Gray, along with Indiya N. Mr. Robinson of FreshVisions.
Thank you, I don't need that. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'll say it again. Good evening, everyone. That's good.
Good evening.
Not there, not that. I'm Bruce Robinson, director of FreshVisions Youth Theater. What is FreshVisions Youth Theater? It is a black youth theater group wherein I train young black kids from 5 to 18 or so and produce shows with them, like a real season of shows that people come to and see, like they would see any professional show. I am a vicious, tough teacher. 26 years I've been doing this. I am. I sit people down and I say, your child will cry with me. I will defend and protect them. Their health, their safety, their souls, and their dignity are off limits. That is sacred. But the work, the attitude, the behavior, and the effort is fair game. And I come at it hard. I was a professional actor myself when I was a young man. I'm an old man now. I've been doing this 26 years. And I have two of my, well, one was a kid. She was with me since she was 9, and she's twice that age now, soon to be 19. And one of my younger kids have been with me. She'll be 12, but she's been with me since she was 9, Kira Brown-Gray and Indiya N. We have been doing this with spit and glue. We're in the community. In Germantown, in Philadelphia, we struggle mightily. And then every year comes by, we don't know if we're going to close the doors because we just don't have the money. But we have the heart and the commitment. Not only do these kids learn drama, they learn about black people. We are a black theater company, to borrow a phrase from our board member and the great poet Muta Ali. We are black, not by accident, but on purpose. And it's a black male energy that runs this company, too. It is, because I was that era when our black men led our community and we didn't have what we have now. And so I let people know that, and they're coming to FreshVisions. They're not just guests. We are family. That's our audience, our kids, and our parents. So what are we going to do now? We're going to do an excerpt from a piece I wrote specifically for this, in dedication to Miss Ruby Dee, who inspired me when I was a young man in the late 50s and 60s. And it's called Ruby Dee, a lady and a legend. It's about 15 minutes or so. And, hopefully you'll understand what's going on. We want it to be something to really show what this woman was and what she meant, not just to, not just to this country, but to the whole world. And so hopefully we will do her honor, and we'll try. So I'll get my folks, and I think we're ready to begin. Hope you enjoy Ruby Dee, a lady and a legend.
Hello, I'm Kira, your narrator, and we are pleased to present a short scene in tribute to the great Miss Ruby Dee. Ruby Dee was born in 1922. She, along with her husband of nearly 60 years, Mr. Ozzie Davis, were, until his death in 2005, the Black King and Queen of stage and screen, the Emperor and Empress of social and political activism. Miss Ruby Dee, actress, poet, screenwriter, fighter for civil and human rights, stood on this earth for nearly 100 years. Miss Ruby Dee, a titan of talent, of intelligence, commitment, died on June 11th of this year at the age 91. Our scene begins as we see Miss Ruby Dee standing outside the pearly gates.
Well, looks like I made it. Not exactly what I expected, but it'll do. Yes, indeed do. It will definitely do.
Miss Dee?
Why, yes, that's just who I am. And who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?
My name is Shepard, but please just call me Shep. The big boss sent me to escort you in.
Well, isn't this wonderful? An escort right through the pearly gates. Now that's a nice touch. That's just like my lord. Well, I'm certainly ready. So lead the way, Shep.
Well, follow me. I'm sorry, Miss Dee, but before we go through, can I ask you to do something for me? A big favor?
Well, I'll certainly try to. What is it?
Well, first, can you please just have a seat and be comfortable?
Honey, I don't mind standing, and I'm fine. I never felt more comfortable in my life.
Well, please, it would make me feel better.
All right. Thank you.
Miss Dee, I've always been a big fan of yours. I pleaded with the big boss to let me be the one to escort you through. Believe me, I had to beat out a lot of competition. They all wanted to have the honor of escorting Miss Ruby Dee through the pearly gates. But I beat them out. We were, it was positive, of course, but I still had to beat them out.
Well, I'm certainly glad it was you who won, Shep. Now, what's the favor you'd like to ask me?
Before that, can I ask you another question first?
You most certainly may.
How'd you do it?
Do what?
Everything. Staying married to Ozzie Davis for 57 years. Your powerful activism for civil and human rights throughout your entire life. Your incredible body of work on stage, screen, television, not only as an unmatched actress, but also as a stage, as a film writer and a playwright. Oh, you are a poet. You were a producer. You were a journalist. I mean, everything, all of that. How'd you do it? I mean, after all, you're only human.
Well, Shep, even with eternity on my side, I don't think I can answer everything at once. But I will take a few things you said and try to answer them the best I can. As to my experience in the civil rights movement, that was a very hard time. There was so much meanness in the air, but you meet all kinds of people that turn the horror into some kind of lesson or avenue of awakening that lives with you all your days. As to my long marriage to Ozzie, it takes a long time to really be married. One marries many times at many levels within that marriage. If you have more marriages than you have divorces, you're lucky, and you stick them out. And we were lucky, so very lucky, we stuck it out. As to everything else, you just try to do everything that comes up. I always wanted to do things because I always had questions. And I never tried to forget that the greatest gift is not being afraid to question.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Oh, I don't think so. It's just me. Just Ruby. Now, what is this favor?
Oh, well, I hate to ask.
Just ask, Shep. I want to know. Truly, I do.
Well, it's always been a dream of mine. I've always had this desire. I've always wanted to act opposite the great Ruby Dee. Do you think it would be possible? Would you consider? Can the two of us act out certain scenes of some of the great plays that you've been involved in, some of the great plays and productions? Can we do that? Do you think you could do that, Miss Dee? Do you?
Well, now I've heard everything. Is that what you really like to do, Shep?
Oh, Miss Dee, now that would be heaven. I'm taking that would be heaven. I mean, in a manner of speaking, of course, I don't get in trouble.
Now, how could I say no to such a flattering and courteous request?
Oh, great! So what should we do? What should we do? Oh, I know, Miss Dee. Can we do the scene in A Raisin in the Sun between you and Sidney Poitier when it was in the beginning of the play? And you two are arguing in the kitchen because you're just not on the same page when it comes to your life situation. Being poor, with your son living sleeping in the living room, and you're both living in Barbara's parents' house. And especially you guys are at odds because of all of the money that's coming to Walter's mother from the insurance check because of the recent death of his father. Can we do that, please?
All right, then. Let's get to it. All right, and laces. And lights up. Walter Lee is after 7:30. Let me see you do some waking up in there now. You better get up from there, man. It's after 7:30, I tell you. Next thing you know, Travis be out the bathroom, Mr. Johnson to get in there, and you'll be fussing and cussing around here like a madman. Walter Lee, I said get up!
Is he out yet?
What you mean out? He ain't hardly got in there good yet.
And what you doing all that yelling for if I can't even get in there yet? Is the check coming today?
They said Saturday, and this is just Friday. And I hope to God you ain't gonna get up here this morning and start talking to me about no money, because I don't want to hear it.
Something the matter with you this morning?
No, I'm just sleepy as the devil. What kind of eggs you want?
Not scrambled. Paper come. Set off another bomb yesterday.
Did they?
What's the matter with you?
Ain't nothing the matter with me. And don't keep asking me that this morning.
Ain't nobody bothering you. They say Colonel McCormick is sick.
Is he now? Poor thing.
Oh, me. Now, what is that boy doing in that bathroom all this time? He got to start getting up earlier. I can't be being late to work on account of him messing around in there.
Oh, no. He ain't going to be getting up no earlier. No such thing. It's not his fault he can't get to bed earlier because he got a bunch of crazy Good-for-nothing clowns sitting up, running their mouths in what is supposed to be his bedroom after 10 o'clock at night.
Now, that's what you're mad about, ain't it? The things I want to talk about with my friends just couldn't be important in your mind, could they?
Walter, leave me alone. Eat your eggs. They're going to be cold.
There you are. Man said to this woman, I got me a dream. This woman say, eat your eggs. Man say, I got to change my life. I'm choking to death, lady. And this woman say, your eggs is getting cold.
Walter, that ain't none of our money. That's your mother's.
I'm 35 years old. I've been married 11 years. I got a son who still sleeps in the living room of my mother's house. And all I got to give him are stories about how rich white people live.
Walter, eat your eggs.
Damn my eggs! Damn all the eggs ever was!
Then go to work.
See, I'm trying to talk to you about myself, and all you can say is eat your eggs and go to work.
Honey, you never say nothing new. I listen to you every day, every morning, every night, and you never say nothing new. So you would rather be Mr. Arnold than be his chauffeur. So I would rather be living in Buckingham Palace.
See, that's just what's wrong with the colored woman in this world. Don't know anything about building them up, making them feel like somebody, like they can do something.
There are colored men who do things.
No thanks to the colored woman.
Well, being a colored woman, I guess I just can't help myself none.
Yes! Oh, this is so good. Oh, this is great. Oh, thank you, Miss Dee. Oh, can we do one more? Just one more, please. One more.
All right. Just one.
Okay. How about, can we do the scene in Pearly Victorious, written by your husband, the one and only Ossie Davis, of course, who also played Pearly, the scene where you played Miss Ludabelle Gussie Mae Jenkins, the sweet and simple country girl who discovers exactly what it would mean for her to help Pearly, the would-be preacher and civil rights activist, get his land that was stolen from the white races in the southern town he lived in back by using you, Ludabelle, to help trick them. Can we do that one?
Sure, Shep. Why not?
Okay.
And lights up!
Where you think you're going, Miss Ludabelle?
You see that, Reverend Pearly? You see all them musical clothes? I mean slips, hats, shoes, stockings. I mean nylon stockings, like Miss Emmy Lou wear. And the dress, like even Miss Emmy Lou don't wear. Did you see what's in that big box over there?
Of course I see what's in that big box, Miss Ludabelle. I bought it, all of it, for you.
For me?
Of course, like I told you. And when we're finished, I'll give it to you.
Reverend Pearly, I'm a good girl. I ain't never done nothing in all this world, white collar or otherwise, to hurt nobody.
I know that.
I works hard. I wash, I iron, I scrub, I clean the polite, and I know how to get along with white folks' children better than they do.
Yes.
And I could cook catfish and hush puppies. You like hush puppies, don't you, Reverend Pearly?
I love hush puppies, Miss Ludabelle.
Hush puppies and corn dodgers. I could get you a corn dodger and get you a swimming in the air.
Well, I'm sure you can.
But I ain't never been in a mess like this.
What mess?
You mean go up in them hills and all them pretty clothes and pretend in front of white folks that I'm your cousin B, someone I ain't never even seen or heard of in all my life?
Why not? It's the best thing in the world. It's the easiest thing in the world is pretending in front of white folks. Anybody can do it. Why, look at me.
No, I think you better look at me like Miss Emmy Lou always says.
Now, Miss Ludabelle, calm down. Take it easy. Sit down, Miss Ludabelle. Now, you mean to tell me after all that big talk you done on that train about white folks that you're scared?
Talking big is easy from a proper distance.
Well, don't you believe in yourself?
So,
Don't you believe in your own race of people?
Oh, yes, a little.
Don't you believe that the black man is coming to power some of these days?
Almost.
10,000 queens of Sheba. What kind of a Negro are you? Miss Ludabelle, where is your race pride?
Oh, I'm a great one for race pride, believe me. It's just, I'm a maid, and I don't need that much in my line of work.
Oh, this is so good, so good. Miss D, can we do one more, just one more? I know. Let's do the scene and do the right thing. When you were mother's sister and Ozzy was the old drunk guy who called himself the mayor of Harlem, and he was bringing you flowers.
This has been wonderful. Truly wonderful. But I think I'd like to go through those pearly gates now.
Yes, of course. Of course, Miss D. I get carried away. I'm sorry. Thank you, Miss D. Thank you so very, very much.
No. Thank you, Chef. Well, I think I'd like to see my Ozzy now. He is waiting for me, isn't he?
With wings on, Miss D. With wings on.
Yes, Miss Ruby Dee, actress, activist, writer, wife, mother, grandmother, a true black woman, a true black queen, an inspiration to young black girls like me, to young black boys, to black men, to black women, to all men, women, boys, and girls. Miss Ruby Dee, a lady and a legend. Rest in peace, Miss D. Rest in peace.
Rest! Honey child, I'm just getting started. Now, come on, Chef. And let's pick up the pace a bit, shall we? An actress always makes her entrance strong.
Anyone that wants flyers, please come down here, and when you get time, there'll be flyers on the chairs. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Robinson, Indiya N and Kira Brown-Gray for that powerful performance. We're going to make a quiet transition of bringing more chairs in as people are waiting outside. More people are waiting outside to come in. We're going to quietly move chairs from the back. Chairs are actually located in this, behind the stage, so just pardon that movement for a moment while we hear from a board member of the West Philadelphia Cultural Alliance, Mitchell Swann, and following Mitchell Swann will be again, thank you Professor Sonia Sanchez for coming, some words about Ruby Dee by Professor Sonia Sanchez.
I'm going to try to do this without the microphone. So, you cannot hear me? Not clearly. All right, I will go back to that. Where's the, can you hear me now? No better? It looks like it's on. Hit it? Nope. This is as good as it gets. I can hear it now. Okay. So, my name is Mitchell Swann. I serve on the board of the West Philadelphia Cultural Alliance, or better known as the Paul Robeson House. We appreciate all of you being out here this evening. Fantastic. I'm here filling the space of Francis Alston, but obviously I cannot take the place of Francis Alston. We have some other members of our board here, so they can wave and let you know about that. I think it's wonderful to come here and celebrate the incredible legacy of Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis, and of course, contemporaries like Paul Robeson and Harry Belafonte and others who made it possible for a lot of things that, progress that we have seen in our community over that time. The film tonight has, I guess, some special attributes. The writer and director is Muta Ali, and he is the grandson of Ruby Dee, so that's going to be, I think, very special to see from a directorial perspective his, interface with Miss Dee, his grandmother. And the producer is Mr. N.J. Frank, and so we're going to hear from them for a little bit as well. One thing, let you know about the Robeson House. We're at 4951 Walnut Street. So feel free to check out at the table outside so that you can come in and move to you for the camera. Okay. Feel free to check out the table outside to get more information on the Robeson House. One item that popped up, and I got word of this late today, we're going to be setting up a program. We've just got a relationship with an organization called Guitars Not Guns. So we're going to be having guitar lessons for children from 8 to 17 years old on Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Robeson House. But you have to sign up because it's guitar lessons, and we want to make sure the instruction is good and the children get, personal attention. Registration is limited to 12 folks, so, you have to throw an elbow or something like that sneaky to kind of get your way forward in line. So try not to, don't hurt anybody. But anyway, that should be very good, and it's one of the programs that we're working on. We're working on some other things with the Cleft Club, so the Robeson House is moving forward. And we're trying to do some good things in the community, and we're very pleased that you're all out here. I think it's wonderful the performances that we saw, and I was thinking to myself, this room has the age span of Miss Dee's career covered in it. I kind of get a nice chunk of it, but not all. There's some others I think are probably covering her entire span of work. And then I like the fact that we have young people involved as well. I think that's fantastic to learn that sort of the whole arc of history, because I find too often many people don't know how this whole thing has swung. So we're going to have the performance, and I think Sonia Sanchez is going to say a few words. Is that true? There you go. Okay. So we're going to have a little bit of that. All right. So thank you very much for coming.
An individual who knew Miss Dee very personally and spoke along with other distinguished actresses at her memorial on Saturday, September 20th, 2014 at Riverside Church. It is my honor to present to you words about Ruby Dee, Professor Sonia Sanchez.
Hello, how are you? This is going to be hard turning pages like this, but I'm going to do it. Woke up this morning with my eyes on Ruby. I said, woke up this morning with my eyes on Sister Ruby. Woke up this morning with my eyes on Sister Ruby Dee. Gonna live, gonna love, gonna resist, just like her. I call this the thunder of an angel. There is an ancient Vedic saying, if you want to create a new body, then you must step out of the river of your own memory and see the world as if for the first time. And our dear Sister Ruby used new memory to help us see the world of our foremothers and forefathers and ourselves as if for, this is a difficulty, as if for the first time. I think she must have been born feet first, must have slid out of the darkness of her mother's womb into the light of her eyes, running on a fast track, this woman of sun and moon, downloading her ancestors who prodded her into an arena called activism. This careful craftsperson of words and life, aristocratic word sorcerer with a commoner's eye, informed us that intellect and work for our people and all people, and activism that flows from the heart is holy, God-conscious activism. And this woman, her eyes opening like crystals, worked in America and the world, told us to take God out of the sky and put God in our hearts, our feet, our hands, our eyes, our tongues, and we did. We heard the sacred in all of her footsteps as she reset the identity of African Americans on the world stage, from tragedy to the heroic celebration of themselves. This woman helped to reintroduce the idea of a new activism with sit-ins, boycotts, marching, campaigning, teaching, writing, and coming together. She sat down with the people, listened to them, held them when they cried, laughed out loud with their successes, welcomed their souls and held their hearts in her hands. This woman, visionary, turned the river of memory and made the river turn black, 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 human. This woman, visionary, turned the river of memory and made the river turn black, 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 human, human, human. And this woman was a cante hondo, a deep song of Africa, the Caribbean, the Americas, the Middle East. She came with the staccato speech and rhythm of the spirit, and her passion entered this American bloodstream. She no longer sang or spoke for herself. Something began to move through her. We could see it moving between the beat and the unbeat, the darkness and the light. A moment where the sounds rose from her throat, entered our blood, and we became the sheroes and heroes and the healers and leaders. She levitated language and motion and souls, organized, wept, laughed, studied, taught, wrote, hummed till time stood still in the 20th and 21st centuries in America. She, through her hard work, had summoned the Duende, the spirit of all of our ancestors who have suffered and yet survived and did it with dignity and grace and order and beauty. This woman told us that we had affirmed life, 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 that our eyes had abandoned death, defeat, supposed inferiority, that our feet were dancing silver as we ate a little earth, as we all must do before we die. This woman, heavy with the smell of herstories and histories, put her feet on this American spine and bid us look up at her gospel hands, hanging bamboo poems of life, 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 life. This woman in Ezekiel's valley asked, "Oh Lord, can these bones live?" and discovered that they did live through activism and words and work and love. Sister Bernice Regan told me one day about the great blues singer Brother Montgomery, who said, "We all come here naked. Black people know it, but white folk don't know it because they come here white. White people don't come here naked. Their skin is an additional currency, puts them far ahead." He said, "We all come here naked and must make arrangements for someone else while you're here, not just do for self." That's what my dear sister, our dear sister did. She made arrangements for us while she was here. This celebration of life will help us reintroduce our past blood to our present and future blood, will help us to make our new memory re-enter our bloodstream in order to erase any death. Pause. Give me the Spirit, Lord. Lord, Lord, I say, give me the Spirit, Lord, 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 Lord. quicksilver courage, Lord. I say, give me the quicksilver courage, Lord, so I can spread it over my face and mouth and feet and hands, so I can spread it over my face and mouth and feet and hands. Give me the strength, Lord, to bear the wrath of this country and the world. I say, give me the strength, Lord, to bear the wrath of the country and the world, because I preach and I teach and I write and I work and I sing and I pray as an equal, Lord. Give me the spirit tongue of 1,000 sons. I say, give me the spirit tongue of 1,000 sons. No, you skipped it. So I can spread it over my face and mouth and feet and hands. So I can spread it over my face and mouth and feet and hands. Give me the strength, Lord, to bear the wrath of the country and the world. I say, give me the strength, Lord, to bear the wrath of the country and the world, because I preach and I teach and I write and I work and I sing and I pray as an equal, Lord, 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 Lord. Give me the spirit tongue of 1,000 sons. I say, give me the spirit tongue of 1,000 sons. To warm our hearts, oh Lord, to warm our hearts, oh Lord. Give me the spirit, Lord. I say, give me the spirit, Lord, to come awake in your thunder, so that our eyes can see behind trees, Help us to remember, Lord, are we not more than hunger and music? Are we not more than harlequins and gossip and greed? Are we not more than color and drums? Are we not more than anger and dance? Praise God, praise God, praise God for our sister, walking barefoot across our souls. Walking barefoot across our souls, always with a prayer on her tongue, saying, step inside, I say, step inside, I say, step inside, I'm winning. I say, step inside me, amor. This day is walking towards us. I say, give me the spirit, Lord, to put on our eyes. And forever, O Lord, let us be in the eyelash of your memory. Let us be in the eyelash of your memory, where there is always the precision of our sisters and brothers and our sister Ruby Dee sewing herself into the sleeves of blackness and beauty and activism. Amen. 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 A woman, a woman, a woman.
English words, cannot express the appreciation. And you'll see that energy that Professor Sanchez expressed in Ruby Dee herself, and the earnestness when she answers the questions of her grandson, talking to her grandson, who has real questions about how to deal with life. So I hope you are as edified by that as by this film. We'll now turn it over to, for a few comments before the actual film. Life's Essentials with Ruby Dee will be seen now. And following the film, if we have time, It's been augmented, or shortened rather, because of our starting late. My apologies for that. I had to get the Blu-ray remote, but I don't want to diffuse the power and the energy of Professor Sanchez's piece, which was a culmination of all the pieces of appreciation. So while we prepare the technical side of this film, hold tight. We will bring you Life's Essentials with Ruby Dee.
Back in 2012, we started our first interview with Miss Dee, the first of several interviews, and not just with Miss Dee, with amazing people like Sister Sonia, who just performed. She did interviews with us for the documentary. We really appreciate you and thank you for that. A lot of her other celebrity friends and family members of the Davis family and everything that came along with that just shadowed her for a couple of years over the past few years until her transition. I didn't want to introduce the film, and I didn't want to take too much time to explain that this is not a traditional biopic about Miss Dee that chronologically starts from her birth to her end. There's a little bit different twist to this pick. You will learn a little bit about Miss Dee, you will learn a little bit more about Mr. Davis, but what this is, and I'm going to read off of this banner here, in this open letter style documentary, Ruby Dee and Ozzie Davis's rich lives guide their grandson on his personal quest to master lasting love, conscious art, and undying activism. Now, we all know Mr. Davis and Miss Dee have been known for their love, art, and activism, and that's how this documentary has been broken up into chapters. So without further ado, if you can give me 30 seconds, I'm going to step and work the technical aspects out, and I'm going to have the film come up. And thank you very much for watching Life's Essentials with Ruby Dee. I did want to say also, at the end of the film, we're going to have Miss Dee's grandson, who did direct and write the documentary, up for a Q&A session, and you can ask any questions that you want about him and Miss Dee and anything that you wanted to know a little bit more about the film. So thank you very much, and give me a few minutes, we'll get everything going. Thank you. Essentials with Ruby Dee, Ruby and Ozzie's grandson, Muta Ali.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching the film, and thanks for coming out. I'm ready to go.
Okay, I'm going to start off by asking you the first question, and I'll pass on to Ron, moderator, and everyone who put everything together for us this evening, this great program. Muta Ali. I always ask, and I want to know, I think it's interesting, your motivation to put together Life's Essentials with Ruby Dee, if you could share that with the room. What was your motivation for Life's Essentials with Ruby Dee?
All right, thank you, NJ. I wanted to, it was a couple reasons, and as the documentary shows in its way, Grandpa passed away in 2005, and I absolutely regretted not taking the opportunity to sit down with him and ask him certain questions that maybe I felt I could ask him later, because he was obviously an extremely wise person and a very special person. And then as I got older, I had more questions about life that is there some rattling going on? That I didn't know I'd have, and I really just wanted to not make the same mistake and not sit down with my grandmother and just ask her about life. You notice people send her letters from across the world and ask them for advice, and to be around her for all of my life and not absorb that wisdom would be a huge mistake. So I didn't want to make that mistake, number one. Number two, I wanted to set the stage. I really wanted to do an exploration. I went to engineering school. I wanted to do an exploration of the change that has happened in Black America over the last century. And this was an organic way to do that. I was hoping that the way it was framed would allow my weaknesses to, in a way, symbolize certain weaknesses that people in my generation share. And I found after screenings that other people have come to me and said, hey, you know, I struggle with those same issues. And for Graham Ruby and Grandpa's values to shine against those weaknesses and take me out of that dark way of thinking. And of course, I wanted to allow people to understand, get a broader understanding of Ruby Dee. You could have just focused an entire documentary on the love in her life or the art in her life or the activism in her life. But even when you look at them separately, they're remarkable lives, even if you just look at one particular portion. So I wanted to highlight those things as well. So that was the initial inspiration, is to do that in a way that would be attractive to people. Yes, ma'am.
Is there, good evening. First, I want to thank you so much for having the initiative and the drive and the insight of the vision, if I may, to put this all together.
Thank you.
It certainly is needed, and as an educator myself, to pass this on, because the children of today, as you say from your generation, but the ones that are younger have no clue. So my question is, do you have a plan on putting this all together, the documentary, so that it can be used, in my case, for a classroom as an educational tool? Is there a plan for that in place?
There is. We've been screening it in key cities, and there are people who are courting us to represent us and to book us for different schools. This would be colleges, though, but we've been asked about it being brought into high schools, and we'd like to do that. Our first step now, though, is to secure our North American distribution rights. So we haven't signed a distribution deal yet. So once that's done, we're going to make sure that we do digital and the education route also. And in addition to this universally, in every audience, there's always someone or group of people from all backgrounds who are inspired to interview their elder. And I got a Facebook message about a month ago after the screening in Atlanta, and a daughter was thanking me because her mother saw the film, and after seeing the film, felt more comfortable sitting down on camera with her daughter and talking with her daughter about her marriage. And I was like, wow, this is great. And what has sparked out of this, and this sparked out of Grandpa and Grandma Ruby, because they always put family first. So like, this is like a lot of their messages I tried to put in here. The Boys and Girls Club of America, we're in plans to work with them so we can go to the different cities where we screen and help facilitate interviews between the teens and an elder of their choice. So it's inspiring people to do that.
So are you generating some contact so that you're saying it on that level, and because I'm an educator from the preschool level, and because there's such elders at that age, and the importance that I see of them planting that seed now, the importance of the connection with your elders, and the importance of communication with those people in your family, the importance of understanding what that is, the foundation of your very existence, if you will, and how important is that that role plays in what their future is going to be, what they're born to do, what they're destined to do. And that's the tool that I was talking about. So to incorporate that, if you've got it out here, your plan is to do it on a larger scale. Mine is to reduce it to the place where I can give it to the children and the youth and the parents in the parenting classes to give them the understanding of how important it is to keep connected and leave that other stuff over there and to keep the distractions over there.
Right.
And to focus on what's important in that family.
Thank you. I think that's a good strategy also. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Ron,
I just wanted to ask a question. I want to thank you for choosing the scene that you chose for Love Tight, because I saw, but the second time seeing it really struck me, and then another part struck me was your grandmother, critiquing the decisions by people in higher power to take money, and then right after you had the piece from Professor Sanchez talk about, you're not going to get it for a mansion. You're going to have to be willing to sacrifice. So I want to thank you for your theoretical take on the interviewees and the questions you ask, because it really gets at that root. And I was thanking you also for your honesty and saying very honestly, like you said to Felicia Rashad, I don't think I could have given that up. And I think that is the whole point of being an artist, whether you can give up materialism for the cause of ending capitalist oppression. And your grandmother had that very clearly, so it's not more of a question, it's a comment.
Well, yeah, and to back that up, Grand Ruby and Grandpa, although they, I believe, were meant for each other, they were two very different people. And I even, growing up under them, felt they had one kind of monolithic view on what artists should do. But I found in talking with Grand Ruby and even looking at the archival interviews that, yeah, they definitely ended up choosing to do certain roles and choosing to do not do others. But Grand Ruby, when it came to speaking on it, she did not really criticize as much as she supported people who were doing what she felt she liked. And I wouldn't say Grandpa criticized either. I would say that he presented it to me. I absorbed it as, say, a challenge. You know, it's up to you as artists to make that difference, you know. But Grand Ruby, she was always excited about helping young artists who she saw doing a lot of great things too, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
The film is very well done and much appreciated. Thank you. I don't know how one gets a film, a documentary distributed, but are you familiar with independent lens on PBS?
Yes.
Could that be an avenue
Yes.
for you, or is that out of your realm, or?
No, everything is well within the realm. We are looking at that, and we're talking with the National Black Programming Consortium and PBS also. So we're exploring all the options to see what's best. And yes, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Question. Well, we noticed that a lot of our heroes and heroes are vilified, scandal, unique, especially in the press and entertainment, sports, figures, brothers. I continue to turn on today Bill Cosby. So my question is, how did Queen Mother Ruby Dee and or King Baba Ossie, how did they avoid that? Did they do anything different than a lot of other people who are caught up in Bill Prayer? And then how does activism, revolutionary, affect relationship, whether it's the husband and wife or the mother and children, grandmother and children, going through a lot of challenges with my own particular family? Because, you know, you don't get hurt more as an activist. And, you know, still my dying breath. So, how activism affects relationships and how they avoided like major scandals.
Okay, I would say, where is that noise coming from? Mine? Oh, well, I'm not sure what I can do. Well, as I've been told, activism itself helped at times to unify Grandpa and Grand Ruby because they found themselves walking in the same direction, even if at times they might have had a disagreement personally between the two. So it helped connect them. Good night. It's great to see you again, Ms. Sanchez. I think that activism and having a common goal helped to unify them. It also made an impression on their children, my mother, my aunt, and my uncle. They protected them from certain dangers, though. For example, not allowing them to go to the March on Washington. But at the same time, they accepted certain risks. For example, the Black Panthers, they were trying to hide, and Grandpa and Grand Ruby allowed them to stay in the house, you know, sleep in the house for some time. So there were risks involved, and dangers involved, but ultimately, as I tried to suggest, I learned that it was the love that they had that fueled their activism. So they really didn't have much of a choice because, you know, Graham Ruby always talks about loving each other and loving humanity. And when you have that, you are willing to make certain risks and take certain risks and willing to put down certain small grievances to work toward a common goal. So that's what I got from that. And the scandals, I don't know if I could speak to that. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
It was wonderful. So
Thank you.
Again for doing this.
Thanks a lot.
Did your grandmother see the final film?
No, we were doing the audio mix, the first audio mix on this film, late night in Brooklyn, and that's when I got the call to come to New Rochelle because she was transitioning. So she did not get to see the final film. She got to see a strong part of it, and she loved it. And she's the one who actually told me that this film is about community. She said because people will be inspired when they watch this to share their lives with their youth, and the youth will be inspired to, and even have an excuse to say, hey, Grandma, can you sit down and talk with me on camera? And that's pretty much exactly what's happening. I didn't even understand her take on the story at that time when she told me it was about community, but by the time we finished editing, she was exactly right. So. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so very much. It was very, very well done.
Thank you.
I actually, my husband and I do a theater night every Wednesday. And what we do is we show documentaries such as this, learning, teaching tools to the community, to educate the community about their past and how to address it and the pitfalls that we made. And this is just so perfect because afterwards we have conversation and discussions around activism. And so I just want so badly to have this as a tool because it will be perfect for what we do. We educate the community, and it's every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock at the ACAB, 52nd and Chancellor. And one of our partners is the Paul Robeson House.
Oh, great, great.
They actually work with us. So, I wonder how can we use this tool? It's superb because it helps us to bring out some of the questions that we want to ask young people.
Thank you for that, and I look forward to participating with you. The first step that we need to take is we need your help because we need to make more noise about this film. Okay. We're doing select screenings in select states throughout the 2015, but is anybody here on social media? Okay, so if you have a pencil, use the hashtag LE with Ruby Dee. LE for Life's Essentials, LE with Ruby Dee. And when you hashtag LE with Ruby Dee. And when you have a great comment to say or a good comment, put that hashtag on it, and we use that to show people that the community loves this film. There's a lot of symbolism in this film, and even in my narration to my grandmother, there's sort of criticism of certain things. And people might not grasp that or might think that it's dangerous, but it comes from a place of love and motivation, and it comes from a place where we are trying to further the message that Grandpa and Grandma Ruby imparted upon us. It starts out with when there's no vision, the people perish. And I hope that the vision stays with us to the point where we can see maybe things have changed and there's a difference between the people we love and admire and where my generation and younger maybe is headed. And it's a hard and nuanced thing for someone to be brave enough to get behind until the community says, hey, this is great and this is touching us. So the more that you can say that, the better. And then we'll get it to every school and every program. I hope so. I think so. I think so. Thank you.
If we do have a question over here, this mic doesn't seem to be working, but if you can project, sir.
Two things. How long of a process is that? And also, when you were talking to Mark Morial, are there any organizations that you have identified that you participate or contribute to?
The process, we got our Kickstarter fund, and this is a Kickstarter project. We got our seed money in July 2012, and we premiered at the American Black Film Festival in July 2014. So 2 years after getting our seed money, we got it done. And I'm patting myself on the back because that's a ferocious pace, considering it's me, NJ Frank, and the junior editor, and that's the core team of production. And we shot 68 interviews. We went to different cities, and this is with only $53,000 of seed money. So we're raising funds along the way too. So, but we had the motivation because Graham Ruby wasn't going to be with us forever, and we knew that, and we had to get this thing done to the people. But when it comes to organizations, I'm very excited about Legal Defense Fund. I'm excited about just ACLU. And when it comes to the conversations I'm having today are regarding police killings, right? And I'm looking and trying to be as fair as I can for an organization that has a legal follow-up to these protests that we can all get behind. And I'm searching on Facebook for it. But whatever organization comes with that, I think I'm gonna support that too. So I'm looking and searching and trying to be supportive of what I like and not a critic of what I don't like. But I'm still trying to find what fits for me when it comes to an organization like that.
We have time for about 2 more questions. I see you.
Yeah, that was a long time.
Okay, and I'll make sure that we go ahead and give these 3 people. I want to thank everyone so far for filling out the demographic information that I handed out. That helps us a lot in trying to get the film out to the masses of people and getting the information out of who comes out to see the film. So if you have the demographic information, you can pass it to me as I walk past. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. I'm going to start with the question over here. I'll get to you, and then I'll get to you over here. I'm going to pass the mic so everyone can hear. Give it loud.
All right. Thank you so much for being brave and sharing your story, because as you were interviewing your family members, it's kind of like we were growing with you because you were getting past, the fear of being docile, being complacent. And I think 2 things really struck me as interesting. Vernon Jordan, towards the end, he said, I think what our generation is looking for is what is the question, how do we go about reform? And then I think Cornel West said beforehand, he said, not everyone's an activist. So what exactly would your advice be personally and professionally, how do we go about reform? Because there seems to be a huge communication gap between people who came before us and my generation. I know a lot of times, my generation right now, we're currently out in the streets, but that's because we've had to be reactive. How do we become proactive? My question.
That's a heavy question. I appreciate your attention to detail. And I don't know. I'm looking internationally, and I know Grandpa, when he spoke at the first Congressional Black Caucus, he had a very powerful speech wherein he said, it's not the man, it's the plan, it's not the rap, it's the map. And he was talking about the difference between rhetoric and action. And I don't know a case where there was proactive action, but I'm not a historian. It's usually reactionary, and then something negative galvanizes the people. But even after that happens, the things that I've learned succeeded, and I've been putting it in parallel with the gay rights movement, because I'm learning about that, because they seem to have been very successful over the last couple years. But when I looked at it last week, I'm like, they've been fighting since the 60s for these rights. But I'm like, what actually works? And it seems like you always need a lawyer someone in this room could tell me when they marched, I don't know which march it was, but at the end of the march, they had a legal document drafted. I was talking to Vernon Jordan about it, and they presented that in DC. Once you make the noise, you have to have a legal follow-up. But what seems to work is local follow-up, you know, even in your city council, countywide, state, and federal. So if there were a comprehensive push to legally address a certain issue, then people could get behind it. But as democratic as we are in the United States, it seems complicated. It seems difficult for the people who represent us to actually figure out what we want, it seems. You know, so I don't know exactly the right answer, but perseverance. And I think managing up is the last thing I suggested to my friends. There are a lot of organizations that already exist that are raising money based upon the premise that they will serve the people. And if we can somehow manage up and say, hey, the people need this, then maybe that'll help too, because they already have an infrastructure. But I don't know.
I'm always intrigued by these fascinating questions. That was a great question. It's just fantastic. I know that we're going to start here, we're going to go here, and then we have one more question after that. And I'm going to pass the mic back to Muta Ali after this.
Are there plans for the collection of the family to be placed in a university or other institution for students, scholars, and the public to study?
The archival material? Yes. It's just been appraised for that purpose. I believe it's going to be donated. I'm not exactly sure where. There's some content already at the Schomburg that's been there. I think there's some content already at Howard. But my aunt is managing that, and we're still in the middle of it, of sorting everything out. But definitely. You know.
Yes. Got 2 more questions. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to come across here.
Peace, I just want to address the sister, because the film showed a couple of things. One is that your grandfather and grandmother didn't just use one way of their activism. That, yes, they were involved with the March on Washington, but they're also involved with the Panthers. And I think that people who haven't studied our history, who haven't studied our movement, don't realize that there were a civil rights movement and a Black Power movement. And the Black Power movement was more active in terms of creating a love of self, which is what your film showed. And I think that the film, if people had more, what my partner said about it being an educational tool, that they'll see that there was more than one way to get what we need to get done. And the 2 ways, you mentioned about the legislature and whatever, but also in the film it's talked about people joining organizations. So my question or my comment is that we have an organization that's called the Kumba Family Organizing Committee. We do the annual International Law Conference, National Hair, Holistic Health, and Beauty Expo. We've been doing it for about 20-some years, and we'd like to actually premiere the film. We'd like to show the film as a way of helping to get it distributed, and also to get the conversation going in terms of family, in terms of values, in terms of activism. That a lot of folks don't know what activism is. You know, that it's not just about being out in the street. There's a lot of ways that you can be active. So I thought that the film showed that, and there were hidden pure pearls in that. If you don't have a history, you don't really know what they are. So we need that content.
I'll be sure to go ahead and speak with you after so we can see what we can do about getting the film over to as many people as possible. I'm going to go ahead and have a question over here. This is going to be the last question.
I think you roundabout answered this, but I was still trying to get a specific, how do we get in touch with you if we know somewhere where possibly 7,000 to 8,000 people can see it at one time?
You can get our cards, but Facebook, if you could follow us on Facebook, that would be very helpful. And people who reach out to us on Facebook, sometimes it's for booking. So.
And once again, the Facebook is facebook.com/life's essentials with Ruby Dee, and anything that you do in social media is hashtag BLK with Ruby Dee. You're in the best position right now because we're right here. We'll pass along cards or share information, and our goal is to get this seen by as many people as possible and spread this message to as many people as possible. So as we're here, we'll share information, you share us with your information, and we'll do everything that we can to get the film out to your societies, to your institutions, just get it out to you.
All right, I think that's it, right?
I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. You want to come up here?
Rowan, I know you did a lot. I've been with you from the beginning of putting together this this program, and I know that it took a lot. You everybody pulled together to make it happen. I want to thank you very much, brother. It's really what it is to make it happen.
Thank you. And the filmmaker and producers have asked that people, please, if you would really like and feel passionately about what you saw, they're looking for as many testimonials as possible. I plan to give one before I leave. Please have them videotape you to talk about what part, just choose a part of the film that struck you, that you remember, and share that in a testimonial before you leave here today. Thank you for coming out, and please use this opportunity to support the Paul Robeson House, not only this film, but the Paul Robeson House and the legacy of activism that Mr. Robeson and Ms. Z stood for. Thank you.